All right, everyone. So we're looking at an article here from oddsshark.com, and it's updated championship betting odds after the Rockets made a trade for Kevin Durant. So let's go down and take a look. This is on FanDuel Sportsbook. Oklahoma City Thunder plus 220, Cleveland Cavs plus 900, Rockets plus 900, Knicks plus 1000, Pacers plus 1200, Timberwolves plus 1400, Celtics plus 1400, and Lakers plus 1500. I don't know. It says odds as of June 22nd. I don't know if that's factoring in the injury to Halliburton as well. My guess is probably not. But still, we got him at plus 900 as of the writing of this article. And so I'm just going to break down and give you my thoughts if I think this is a good list. Now, I certainly don't actually believe that the Thunder should be such big favorites. I understand they just won the championship. They deserve a ton of credit for winning the championship. Nobody's denying that. But I really think when you look at the Thunder had a really dominant regular season, but come playoff time, the series against the Nuggets, that is a concern, right? The Nuggets, they have Nikola Jokic, probably the best player in the NBA, but that Nuggets team was not firing at all cylinders. This is not the Nuggets team that won a championship, and to have that series go 7 games, it's a little bit of just a little bit nerve wracking. And then you get to the finals and you see the Pacers, right, take them 7 games and all the injuries that, the injury to Halliburton and, them almost winning game 4, right? Thunder had some magical comeback. It just makes me question, right, if this is actually going to be a dynasty or just one year. And I'm not taking away from what they did, right? I think they really, really put together one of the all-time great seasons in terms of the statistics on it, and they were dominant for large portions of it, and they deserve everything they got. There's no asterisk, nothing like that on this series. However, when we're talking about plus 220 versus the plus 900, for the next team, I don't love it being that low. The good news is that because it's like that, we're getting a lot better odds on everything else. So let's focus in now on the Rockets. Okay, so the Rockets are now at plus 900. And do I think this team can win the championship? I would say yes. And there's 2 reasons why I think that. The first is the fit that Durant brings. I really think when you watch the Rockets last year, one of the things that the games I watched them, it was just the consistency element of this team is great defensively, but offensively, there just wasn't always that consistency, right? It was like pulling teeth a lot of times on the offensive end. Sure, they'd have good games, but then you'd have these stretches of the game where you'd go, man, they just kind of need that consistent player. Durant could be that guy. I don't think he's the same guy, maybe a decade ago he was, but I don't think he needs to be either, right? I think he is his points per game. I think he could still remain, as good as he's ever been in that aspect. And now you have other guys, younger guys. You have someone like Fred Van Fleet. You have Sengun, who can kind of, be helpful to him, but still have that consistent scorer in Kevin Durant. And I think when you look out west, the question is when you're looking at that roster, if we take the Thunder out, who scares you more than the Rockets? I think you got to throw them in there. This was the second best team in the West by regular season record without Kevin Durant. And now you add Kevin Durant to that. And I know they lost Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks. I just, to me, okay, Jalen Green brings the offense. Does Durant bring you better offense? That's 110%. Dylan Brooks, I do think, is a more irreplaceable guy or unreplaceable guy because he brings like an energy and kind of a toughness and a grit that you just can't find everywhere. But Ime Udoka, every team he's coached has had that kind of defensive grit. So I understand that bringing in Durant, I think, is an offensive upgrade from Jalen Green. And, it's a really needed piece of this team. And everybody else is going to have to find a way to say, all right, we don't have Dylan Brooks anymore, but now we have the grit on the roster. So I really like it. We're looking here. These are the top 3 teams out west: are the Thunder, the Rockets, the Timberwolves, and the fourth is the Lakers. I just, if we're going off these odds as the judge, who do we think here is head and shoulders better than the Rockets? I mean, the Thunder, you got to give them their respect. So certainly we would kind of give that to the Thunder. But other than that, if you could tell me that I can get the second best team in the West at plus 900 betting odds, I'll take that. I don't mind that any anyway, right? I think that's really, really good. So that's kind of the impact. I definitely think, there's a chance here of them winning a championship. I wouldn't say that they're a lock, right? I don't think this is like, oh my God, there's no way they lose. But I think Durant fixes the big need they had, which is consistency. So stay tuned. We're going to be going through a lot of these different betting odds things as the season comes up, and we have a lot of big announcements for this channel. We're doing a rough draft over the NBA playoffs, and now we're going to get into the real stuff with this channel.